What's up, geeks and gamers? It's your boy Q
and QMG.
Bring you guys into the universe where we talk to you guys about everything geeky, gamey, and nerdy. Got a great episode. We're going to see if this Doctor Strange hype for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is warranted. We're going to be talking about Batman. Is he a good guy or a bad guy? Because the new Matt Reeves Batman's coming out. So we got a great episode. You already know how we do. Let's vibe it out. Glad to be back. Glad. QMG, how you doing?
I'm living. I'm thrilling.
Facts. Hey, got a great episode, man. Let's go ahead and turn it on up. Appreciate everybody that's tuning in, man. Man, it feels good to be back. Let's get it. Hey. Yes, let's get it. We had a great episode before the previous episode, our last one for Keep It G. We did a lot. I would like to see you on there. But Into the Universe, we had technical difficulties last Sunday, so we weren't able to finish our episode. So we're just picking up where we left off. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Should the hype be warranted? It's looking from the Super Bowl spot we had that showed Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness in a little bit more in depth. We got to actually hear the side of Professor X's neck. So we got to see Patrick Stewart's Professor X from the side profile. We didn't even get to see his real face, but we did hear him quote say a line from the movie. But QMG, you want to go ahead and go right into it. First of all the geeks and gamers out there, y'all come into the comments, talk to us, let us know what y'all think. But Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, before I answer, I want to know, is the hype warranted? Should we be hyped for this movie?
Yes, indubitably. You should absolutely be hyped for this movie. I don't see why you wouldn't be. I don't know why. I don't see why anyone wouldn't be excited about this, yeah. John. You know, I personally think that this is primed to be either one, if not 1A, or 1B Across the Spider-Verse is 1A, it's definitely going to be in the top 2 superhero movies of the year.
Yeah.
Just spoilers for any potential, what we talk about later on. But I genuinely feel like this film, it's the it girl. It's gonna have it all. You know what I'm saying?
Material girl.
Yes. All of the above. And I definitely, come on now. You heard a legally distinct man that sounds like Patrick Stewart say,
yes,
we should tell him in a Marvel movie. And if you've even glanced at any Marvel live action properties in the last 22 years, can you believe the first X-Men movie came out 22 years ago?
2002, baby.
No,
22 years. We in 2022.
2000, Quentin. It came out in the year 2000.
That's 20. We in 2022.
2022 minus.
I don't do maths.
Anywho,
man, we starting the show off right, man. Let's go.
Anywho,
quick maths.
Yes, indeed. But yes, the very first X-Men movie came out into the year 2000. So not only is Patrick Stewart still here, still alive to be Professor X.
What year did I say?
You said 2002. Anywho's, is at the end of the day, it's an amazing accomplishment. And yeah, multiverse stuff, they've been alluding to it. You got some folks, stupid folks, the Russo brothers, for example, saying that multiverse stories are limited and they're only going to run its course in their whatever I'm gonna call it. First things first, I would like to say that the people who can't even definitively tell me how Steve Rogers ended back up on that park bench, considering the time travel rules they just established.
Did they even ever expound on how that happened?
Exactly my point, which is why that, I genuinely think that multiverse stories are some of the easiest and most timeless stories to tell. And that is what this movie is going to do. One of the things people always wanted to see Doctor Strange's story be is just him doing crazy magic things the entire time.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to do that. And then some. Of course, the Wanda stands are going to show up in full force. God knows who's going to be cameoing in this movie. But yeah. Yeah, I'm all for it.
Oh, not to cut you off, but as you can see, we're rocking the Pokemon attire. It's Pokemon Day. They just announced Gen 9, the newest Pokemon game. Scarlet and Violet have been announced, and they looking, I don't know, looking different.
I like it. I like it. There's some things that could look better, but all in all, I'm always a pro fun. Like if the game is fun,
Yes,
then it's good. It's cool.
you're pro fun.
Yes. Shout outs to Raya. We was on her
Facts.
Glimmering. We was on her Glimmering podcast.
And might I say it was awesome, amazing.
It's awesome. Shout outs.
Rocco, Chillmonger.
Rocco. My MD crew was there with me as well. You know, we had a nice fun time.
We found out that everybody loves Magnetite and Electrode.
Facts. Shout outs to that army.
Shout out Rocco.
Yes, we will have the link to her video in our description below.
Hopefully they'll have us on again. That was awesome.
Absolutely. So yeah. But yeah, I definitely think that the Doctor Strange 2 hype is completely and utterly founded and definitely worth it. Like Maybelline.
I'm 100% behind you on this. I think the Doctor Strange hype is 100% warranted. Especially coming off the heels of No Way Home, where they literally gave everybody everything they ever wanted in a MCU Spider-Man movie. I think that Doctor Strange is following suit. Also, that we know that there has been reshoots after that could have been due to the pandemic, but I think it's partly pandemic and partly seeing the reception from Spider-Man No Way Home as seeing if we give the people what they asked for, that in this specific point in time, it pays dividends to do. So I think some of those reshoots are giving a lot more cameos to some of these characters. We don't know, but I would like to see Nicolas Cage maybe as Ghost Rider or something like that. As you just said, Tom Cruise as a variant of Tony Stark. So I think a lot of these reshoots are to build some of these hype trains that are coming that we're getting. So I think the hype is warranted. I think they're going to go balls to the walls with some of these variants and cameos. At this point, I don't 100% know to what extent all these variants and cameos will be, because the movie already seems jam-packed with a lot of Doctor Strange characters, a lot of Doctor Strange and Wanda stuff. So I don't know to what extent that even the Illuminati might play a big role. But as far as some of these minor cameos, I don't know to what extent.
Yes, Illuminati confirmed. Illuminati, the bruh frog, the bruh frog. Shout outs to them early 2010 memes. The meme I remember.
So is the bring frog? Is he the first meme?
What,
the cell phone frog?
Are you talking about a crazy frog?
Yeah, is he the first meme?
Should we call him? I mean, yeah. I mean, since it's the technical something that you can use over and over again with and put it in context to, yeah, I guess crazy frog.
But yeah, so I think Doctor Strange is definitely gonna knock it out of the park. And as much as we talk about the cameos, do you think Doctor Strange will have a substantial enough story to draw people into this story in this movie? Do you think he'll have enough to hold up his own end of the movie?
I mean, because the crux of it is a carryover from what happened with WandaVision. The strongest points of WandaVision was focusing on her struggle, and obviously it's a continuation of that, and more so, and then just going to compound Doctor Strange's struggle, because we just taking what the trailers has given us is going to be focusing on him coming to terms with what he has done in the with the Time Stone and now with No Way Home. So I think it'll be like two people. My hope rather is that it's focusing on two people who can, who are going to great lengths to correct mistakes. And hopefully they both come out on the right side of things, because because
Wanda has never gotten no. She's still dealing with grief. You think at the end of WandaVision she comes to terms with it, but in reality she's still dealing with that. Yes. So this is
warranted grief, by the way. I mean,
yes, no, definitely 100%. But it definitely seems like that arc wasn't finished in WandaVision and will be concluding itself in this movie.
Right, and then we have to think about with Doctor Strange and his kind of cavalier usage of even going back to Doctor Strange 1, which I know a lot of people probably have forgotten or not remember specifics, but like the very first thing he was told about the Time Stone is you can't do what he did because it can have major ramifications. And we can ascertain that him using the Time Stone against Dormammu, to go ahead and keep Dormammu from invading Earth, that kind of galvanized him. Like, okay, I should do this. I should be more not frugal, but more loose with using the time stone. We know what happened in Infinity War. And then you add in the multiverse aspect in Spider-Man No Way Home, which is obviously going to play a point of reference. So I think that, and I genuinely think that it's all going to be, in my opinion, it should be rather focusing on two of these individuals who have gone to great lengths to right wrongs, and not just the consequence, but how do they come out the other side of it.
Well, and to bring up a good point, and I would definitely want to touch on, because Doctor Strange has been like this in a lot of iterations, and I want to. Oh, see, we were just talking about you. What's goody? What's goody? Yes, definitely.
What's up, Ryan?
But yeah, and you did a great job as the host. Thank you. Would love to be back on. It was amazing.
For real.
But yeah, so I definitely wanted to touch on what you were talking about with Doctor Strange in general, because this has been a reoccurring thing with Doctor Strange. Even in the comic books, he has always, I don't know, and I like how they dove into his almost ego as the Sorcerer Supreme. Even as a surgeon, he was very egotistical, very wanted to be the best. So I think sometimes he messes with the dark arts and tells everybody else not to do it, but he feels like he's so smart he can control what he's doing. And I think in this movie he's gonna have to come to terms with it's things that's out of his control that he's messed up and cannot.
But to piggyback off of that, another consistency that I think not a lot of people pick up on is the fact that once he does it, he's like, okay, how do I fix it?
Yes,
he'll be arrogant in the moment, but he's also going to try to fix it or change his viewpoint. Let's look at Infinity War. He tells Iron Man that, okay, like, dude, I will let you and the kid die if it means Thanos doesn't get the time stone. And we see that he doesn't, ultimately he doesn't do that.
But do you think it's because after he looked through the 14 million, he saw it was a way that he could not have let them die?
I think that it's a combination of both. I think that generally speaking, he understood that and being around them, like, I'm all right, this moment where we're all holding each other in a Mexican standoff is pretty hilarious. I like these guys.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do that. And then you look at his what if episode, right? When he becomes Strange Supreme, even then, when he sees, like, he's not like, oh man, I have Christine's and that's all that matters. He like, no, when he sees the universe crumbling, he's like, no, I gotta stop this. Well, he fails.
Well, in his, also to the detriment, you brought that up, but Christine was also vaporizing, so it was like he didn't get neither one. So he's like, dang, I maybe shouldn't have done this. But
right, and then when you see in the season finale of What If season 1, he's helping the Watcher, and there's no ulterior motive. He's not trying to also get the Infinity Stones to get what he wants. He's like, no, I'm gonna fight Super Duper Ultron and save, help save the day. So I think I think that's one of, like, why I assume that Doctor Strange will be empathetic to and sympathetic to Wanda. And it's like, she's more like, I think I'd like in the trailer, she's like, you do what you did and you're a hero. I do what I did, but I'm a bad guy. How is that fair? I genuinely think,
I like that scene, by the way.
I think he might agree with that. I think he's not going to try to make an excuse for it or anything. I think he's genuinely going to, like, you're right, and I want to help, and I need your help. So there's no beef. So
like I've said before, just to go speaking on Wanda for a minute, I'm almost 100% positive that her ideals of what she wants to do with the dark chaos magic and the dark hole is not going to align with Doctor Strange, because she's going to want to dive more into the multiverse because of her children, and Doctor Strange is obviously trying to close it because he's having visions of the multiverse being broken down. So I'm sorry to cut you off, but
I just think that I'm not disagreeing with you. I just feel like it's gonna be a moment where, and this is kind of just my own me waxing poetic, because this is a personal thing I like to see in modern superhero stuff. Despite all of that, especially if somebody's controlling Wanda's actions, Doctor Strange not giving up on Wanda and like, okay, we fixed worse, we can fix this. And especially,
do you think it's Chthon?
I mean, that's because we've talked about it on numerous different places of who we think, but Chthon is the obvious answer, because that is the one that's the
dark hole, chaos magic, all that.
Yeah, because for those who don't know, Chthon is the mystical demonic being who is more or less responsible for Wanda's connection to chaos magic as a whole, and the demon that resides in the Darkhold. And in the comics, most recently, she's finally got control of, like, there's no longer a way for him to like ever control her again. She's like finally gotten dominion over him. But like whenever Wanda has, strayed off the path of, righteousness, more or less, it's because of his influence. So yeah, I think that this might be his introduction.
Yeah. But to go back to the Doctor Strange, who is the character? And y'all can chime in too. I definitely want to get y'all opinions and stuff. All the geeks and gamers that's tuning in. Who do you think? Who are you most ready to see their character development in this specific movie?
Personally, I really want to see more of Doctor Strange. I feel like this is going to be interesting to see, because the only other, like, after Endgame, the only real like deep dive into his character was in a What If episode. So I would like to see how much of that aligns, how much of that is different.
Yeah.
I've said this before as well, but my theory is that some of this stuff from a narrative standpoint is out of place because of how COVID messed up the usually rigid, well, not rigid, but strict and, welded together, I should say, MCU phases.
Yeah.
So I think some of this stuff was meant to be after some things, and some things were meant to be before some things. So I'm very interested to see where they go with it.
Definitely. I'm not gonna lie. Wanda's probably one of my characters that I didn't think I was gonna care about as much as I do now. Especially with WandaVision and seeing. I want to see how that grief will affect her, and I want to see if she gets her kids. Obviously, White Vision is around somewhere. I personally believe MCU is going to give her a happy ending. And I would like to see that. Very much so. So I think Wanda probably is the character that I'm looking to see, because I would like to see her in maybe not a villain role, but a antagonist role at some point, going against Doctor Strange.
I think it's going to be this movie for sure. I mean, obviously, from what we like, picking up on the context clues, unless there's like some third thing.
Left turn MacGuffin.
Right.
Definitely. So yeah, Wanda probably for me. I'm not as excited for America Chavez. Maybe because I just don't know too much about her. I've done my research on her or her origin, because it's kind of convoluted. But as far as her character, it's not too much that I'm taking away from her that is gonna excite me and be like, man, America Chavez, that's the character I'm ready to see. Maybe even Master Mordo, seeing if he's I want to say a good variant of Baron Mordo. I think that'd be pretty cool. And to see Shuma Gorath.
I'm gonna tell you something what I just learned.
Yeah.
So Shuma Gorath didn't originate as the squid monster that we all know and love from the Marvel vs. Capcom series, right?
Okay.
He was originally a more humanoid dark wizard from the Chaos Dimension.
I thought he came from the many angled ones.
No, he came from in his original that may have been retconned.
Oh, okay.
But he was a humanoid dark wizard from the Chaos Dimension.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a squid. And and what I'm assuming, and this could be completely wrong, do not quote me on it at all, but I think that when they were developing the Capcom fighting games, I think that they kind of just drew inspiration from Gargantos.
Facts.
But called him Shuma Gorath, and then the rest is history. So, that could be wrong. Don't, like, if you guys know the lore, the skinny, let me know.
Yeah, because the only reason why I was so upset is because when people said, when I saw him in the trailer, Gargantos, I was like, that's Shuma. Because of the design of Gargantos in this movie is literally Shuma. Because if you see the original illustration for Gargantos, he's not completely different, but it's a visual difference between that and Shuma Gorath. And this Gargantos obviously has a Shuma Gorath aesthetic. So the main thing is Gargantos' eyeball is towards the top of his head, while Shuma's is literally in the middle. Oh, that's the original Shuma Gorath?
Yes, he has tentacles, but he's not obviously he's not a tentacle monster or whatnot. He would become that through throughout
So
the years.
in the comments, let me know, all my geeks and gamers, if y'all tuning in, listening, what is one variant or one cameo that you guys are waiting for? What cameo is gonna get you guys amazingly hyped? What is the cameo? For me, obviously Professor X or Wolverine, Deadpool are like top, but Tom Cruise is my go-to that I believe is gonna happen. But if I had to pick one that I didn't believe was gonna happen, would be John Krasinski as Professor X. I'm sorry, as Reed Richards. I definitely want to see that. I want to see some form of Reed Richards, John Krasinski. That's probably my go-to cameo that I don't believe is gonna happen, but I would like to see.
You've been
Championing that, I know.
You've been fiending for.
What about you?
John
What
Krasinski.
what cameo that you don't believe you're gonna get at all, but would like?
I don't think that we will be getting, and this and this is probably wrong,
Mhm.
but I'll expound on it as I go. But I don't think we're getting Toby in this.
I hope we do
I
so
don't.
bad.
I genuinely don't.
Is it true that Bruce Campbell got confirmed? Is that true?
I wouldn't. Let me put it like this. I can't think of a single Sam Raimi movie that Bruce Campbell has not been in some capacity. So I'm going to assume yes, with little to no evidence.
Yes.
But I think, I genuinely think that Morbius will pop up in some, not as a key character, right?
Yeah.
But as a character that is going to, show the multiverse, right?
Yes.
I think that's going to be the case. I don't think, here's my, and it kind of goes back to Spider-Verse, right? I genuinely think that they're going, the next time we see Toby or Andrew or both, if not all three, Tom included, I think it will be in Across the Spider-Verse. I think that Sony is not going to, in the span of 2 years technically, but No Way Home came out at the end of the year, so we can basically count it into 2022. I don't think they will have 3 appearances of Toby specifically when they could, have it in the Spider-Man movie, the live action one, and then in the one that everybody really is anticipating as well. I think that, now I could be wrong. I could be wrong. They could have him in Multiverse of Madness.
I just don't think Sam Raimi is going to pass that up, especially after the reception of this one.
True, but I also feel like, and this is not to say that it's set in stone, because obviously No Way Home had very valid leaks that were almost immediate. Because I remember, I can say it now because the movie out. I remember seeing the fuzzy ass screenshots of Jamie Foxx and Norman Osborn and Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina before that.
Yes,
and of course the
Andrew,
the 4K Andrew kneeling in the blue screen, and then they're sort of like, oh no, I actually created that lion ass. But I think that if Toby was at the reshoots for Multiverse of Madness, I think that would have been like, we would have seen it in some capacity. But then again, if any of the other cameos exist, I feel like that would have been the case as well. So I'm not like, that's like, when I say least, I mean like that's like a small like point under probable, right? So it's like 50% is half. I'll say like 49% sure he's not gonna be in the movie, but then like the other half is I think he will be. But I think the safest bet, I should say, instead of talking in circles, the safest bet is that we'll see something like Morbius or Venom or some shit like that, but who knows?
I'm kind of a little bit more optimistic about Toby than you are. I think.
I mean, I am. I'm just realistically, but optimistically is.
Yeah, because Sam Raimi besides Bruce Campbell, he loves Toby. He stated it on many occasions, their relationship, and I just feel like Sam Raimi was waiting for No Way Home to drop just so he could see the reception, just so he could get the green light to put Toby in some sort of capacity in this one. So I wouldn't say that. I think realistically, for me personally, I think there is a more of a chance that Toby could show some type of scene in this movie as being a main character. No, 100%. I disagree. I don't believe he'll be a main character at all. But
right,
I think he'll, even if him and Bruce Campbell might have a scene together.
So let me ask you this question. I mean, Leslie, because you brought up a fantastic little point, and I want to let's see how far we can run with it. So obviously, if this movie is as long and as big as Marvel probably wants it to be, because I'm gonna be very honest, it doesn't seem like a movie Marvel's like, oh, it's just coming out.
This is one of the movies. Like,
yes, I wouldn't be surprised if they push this as like a Avengers level movie, because we are in the 10-year anniversary of that movie. By the way, aged terribly. None of the scenes in that movie looks up to snuff to anything out now. Like the camera, I mean, then again, it's a Joss Whedon directed film, so of course it looks ass. But my point is that this is a very important year for the MCU. This is the 10-year anniversary of their first billion-dollar mega blockbuster film that solidified them in a lot of people's eyes. And I think that, in the event Black Panther gets delayed, which it very well might be, I don't think that they're going to hinge that, celebration on Thor Love and Thunder. I think they're going to do it on Multiverse of Madness. And the simple fact that, I think that, so my larger point is that I just realized I was rambling. I'm hungry, y'all. So I just realized that. I apologize. My point is that, do you and who you think from the multiverse is going to be like
major players?
Yeah, like, because obviously I don't believe it'll just be America and Doctor Strange as the obvious protagonist.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the characters, we obviously know that they're going to be some type of conglomerate. We're going to say the Illuminati is
confirmed.
Multiverse Illuminati seems to be the case. There's one character that I'm kind of iffy on being a part of that, because they were shown as being in What If. The main protagonist of What If would be Captain Carter.
You think so?
Yeah, I think Captain Carter is a part of the Illuminati. I think so. And if she is, that's gonna make me feel a little iffy, because her being a protagonist in What If, championing for the universe and everything, to see her be like, okay, there's certain things that maybe we don't agree with, but we have to do to protect the multiverse, would kind of make me feel like, dang, I wish she would have been like a character that stayed kind of pure in a sense.
Let me blow your mind. I mean, one, that's more or less how she was in the canon MCU with Shield, with the beginning of Shield, because we gotta remember the Hydra takeover. Not saying she was complicit, but it happened under her nose, because she played a hand in having these ex-Hydra agents and whatnot, work for Shield. So we understand that there were some hard decisions that she was on the front line for that was made. And secondly, two parts of the secondly. One, in the comics, Captain America does end up joining the Illuminati as the moral compass. And I can see that being Captain Carter's, role as the moral compass, as the character who's like, okay, we're going to do, yes, you're going to have your pragmatic way, but we still need to approach this from a level of understanding and compassion.
I can understand that. Now, if they come from that angle and not her being jaded by what she's seen over the course of the time that has led up to this, I will be okay with that. If they keep her as a moral compass character and maybe even have her help Doctor Strange at some point, I will be fine with that.
Yeah, and re-release her stealth season finale suit with Marvel Legends Hasbro with the correct head and not the 1940s head with the 1940s haircut with the actual straight hair that makes it look cooler.
Do you think they're gonna CGI her body to be 6'5", 6'6"?
I mean,
because in What If she did get taller after the Vita Ray system?
Yeah, see, that's the because I was kind of wondering that, because it's very easy for actors and actresses to bulk up, specifically if you're unknown, that you can kind of slip through the cracks and wear your dress and whatnot, and not realize not let people understand rather that you've bulked up. I think that because they with this new technology, obviously de-aging is a thing and people can do that, but as far as
or do you think they're just gonna do camera trickery to make her look taller?
They could. This is an MCU film, so there's gonna be a significant amount of CGI, but I don't know. I want to say they can okay, have lifts in her shoes, and then obviously she bulks up, and then padding here and there to make it she's the super soldier. Haley Atwell, the actress, is pretty short, so it's how much lift do you want to give her? To give off the impression that she now grew to the super soldier size. You said CGI. My first instinct went to Free Guy with the Ryan Reynolds. So I'm like, I hope it's not that. But then again,
well, they don't have to do too much because the suit is going to have that physique look.
right.
Now it's just the height that I'm worried how they're going to accomplish that.
They could do like they're going to do with She-Hulk. That could be the primer of what they're going to do with She-Hulk. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, She-Hulk, obviously, Tatiana, she's not going to be 7. She's not 7 foot like She-Hulk. So when they CGI her to be She-Hulk, she's going to be that height. So I guess, we'll find out.
Yeah.
If she's in it.
But yeah, that'll be the character that I'm looking forward to. That's the one I honestly believe is also in there because from the trailer we see, from the poster, fan art, well, not fan art, but from the poster, we saw in the reflection of the broken glass, we see Captain Carter's shield 100%. And you could kind of, if you want to be one of those theorists, kind of make it out when they're sitting in the hall with the Illuminati. So I'm ready to see her arc as well. Hopefully she does have an arc, but also she's going to be coming back in What If season 2. So pretty sure she's gonna have a bigger arc in that. But yeah, so the hype for me is warranted. I'm ready for it. I think it's gonna be an amazing movie. I know we talked about this before last week before our internet went wonkified. Do you think it has the potential in the majority's eyes? Because obviously not in your eyes, but in the majority's eyes, do you think it has a chance or potential to be better than Spider-Man No Way Home when there are 2 multiversal movies?
I genuinely do not think so. And again, this is no shade to Doctor Strange. I genuinely think that it's going to be a great movie. Like I said at the top, it literally has the potential to be, if not the best, with Across the Spider-Verse, definitely in the number 2 spot, which is I think is going to be a very high 2. But I genuinely think that what helps No Way Home out greatly is the fact that with No Way Home, it is a situation where it's built up, right? You think you're never going to see these
Man.
You think you're never going to see Andrew again. You think you're never going to see Toby again, and you do. You do. You see all of them folks,
and that's crazy because I remember when we first started Into the Universe, and we was talking about because Into the Spider-Verse had came out, so we did have a basis on a multiversal Spider-Man movie, and we was like, "What's one movie of all movies you want to see?" And I said a multiversal Spider-Man movie with all 3, and we were like, and this was when Tom Holland was still up in the air about even being Spider-Man again. I was like, I think it's gonna happen. He was like, no, I don't think. And we got it. We're living in an age where we saw all 3 live action Spider-Man on screen. That was amazing.
Yeah, and it's like that, when you like people and it's easy to forget it. It's not even easy. I'll say like this. With Andrew, people were 50-50. It is what it is. But with Toby specifically in the first Spider-Man movie and what that represents to a lot of people, and when people see and hear Spider-Man, they think and use Toby's candor. And when you think about what all of the movie meant, in general, I think that is a lot. And I would say that what Doctor Strange has against it that I think it will easily disprove is that, okay, is this a cash grab or is this doing something of importance?
Yes.
Spider-Man No Way Home, make no mistake about it, you can easily say the same thing, but so many people have wanted these specific things. Like, and I will keep saying it. No Way Home is one of the few movies, period, in my opinion, that literally gives the max amount of people exactly what they want in almost every capacity, right?
Yes.
With Multiverse of Madness, we don't know if we want the X-Men or Professor X represented like this, or the Fantastic Four. You're a big fan of John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. 100. Not everybody is. So
I can understand
that might not get folks hyped like,
or even Tom Cruise. I've heard somebody say they didn't want Tom Cruise as Iron Man.
Most people don't even understand
why that's significant.
Why that's significant.
Facts.
So so that's why I say it can't be as big or bigger than No Way Home, because a lot of that stuff is either inside baseball, why this thing or this thing is happening, or you're like, okay, was this cool? Is this all right? How much is like, I wish maybe we'll get even I wish there was more of this, or is this too much? So I feel like that's something that they'll have to prove when the movie comes out, but I think they will. I personally.
So
think
you don't believe that right now the movie is oversaturated with the amount of characters that they're introducing?
Well, I don't. Well, no, because I simply don't know definitively. There are things that I've heard through the grapevine that may or may not be true, which sound very sus. So it's hard to say that, but I will say that I'll say this. I'm a big believer in if you have a big or a sprawling concept, you need to go all the way full pedal to the metal. If you're going to use multiverse, then you better use as much multiverse as you can before folks get really tired of it. And as of right now, I'll just put it like this. Doctor Strange ain't going to be the multiverse movie people be tired of it on. That comes out a couple of months later.
And you know what's crazy? Because we got to talk about it at least for 5 seconds. It's so wild that DC has a whole multiversal movie that no one's talking about.
Because it's okay, let me put on my
Michael Keaton is literally coming back as Batman.
Let me put on my DCEU Snyderverse hat for a second. Ugh. Okay. The reason no one's excited for this movie is 3 reasons, and I will go to it from least important to most important. Number 1, no one cares about these characters that are coming back and are showing up because Michael Keaton is too old and no one has asked for him to be Batman ever. If anything, people wanted Christian Bale to come back and be Batman. Michael Keaton, no one has asked for him specifically in damn near 30 years, if not the full 40 that it's been.
You just shit on Michael Keaton, bro.
That's the truth of it. 2, it is erasing the things people have liked about.
Now, I do agree with that.
It's erasing the things people have liked about it in order to appease a vocal minority. Make no mistake. Yes, people poo-pooed Zach stuff, David Ayer stuff, Kathy Yan. Some people have, but a vast majority either puts up, likes it, or, as I've seen, really fucking likes it. And making a movie to erase it to appease a vocal minority is objectively stupid and will not result in the success these idiots at Warner Brothers, who hopefully will not be there come April, what they think it will. And most importantly, the number 1 reason people are not enthused or should not be enthused is because Ray Fisher was unceremoniously fired from the film because he chose to speak up about the shenanigans and the straight up BS that was happening on the Justice League reshoots, and they are standing in solidarity with Ray Fisher. That's the number 1 important reason why people are not rocking with this film, because this is seen as a direct, or one of the many direct jabs at him, and that is absolutely unforgivable. So yeah, it's not going to be a good look for this film.
Yeah, and like I said, I have no problem with an exclusivity. Having a female Superman is amazing. I think that's pretty cool. I think all the inclusiveness, I think that's really cool. I have no problem with it. But when you take characters that people have very strong love for and erase them, me personally, I thought, and this is just me personally, I thought Ben Affleck's Batman was the coolest Batman that I've seen all around, on even with the bad parts like Justice League 2017. I thought he was amazing.
Which you don't even have to worry about because the Snyder Cut came out, so you don't even have to.
And I thought Henry Cavill's portrayal of Superman was amazing. I thought it was a really good Superman. Had the look, had the style, and even the internal struggles of being Superman. I thought it was all really well done. And to know that those 2 characters specifically will be erased from this continuity, I don't like that. And I thought Cyborg, his arc could have went a whole lot deeper as being a part of the Mother Box, and his dealing with humanity as being a half man, half robot cyborg,
which was the plan, among other things.
For him to be erased as well, especially due to the circumstances that he was the reason why it's going to be like this. This is leaving a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth, including mine. So, and I've already stated how I didn't really prefer Flash's portrayal, and it's not Ezra Miller's fault. It was the writing and how he was written as the character, some of his mannerisms as the Flash I didn't like. And it's just not, it's not doing it for me. As you stated, Michael Keaton's not my Batman. Like Val Kilmer and George Clooney are more of my Batman than Michael Keaton.
Let me kick it to you, like, sorry to cut you off, but let me kick it to you like this. The people that are going, that potentially would see this movie were not even born when Michael Keaton was Batman.
Not to cut you off, but I still always champion Danny DeVito as Penguin, though.
That's nice.
Danny
DeVito isn't in this movie. Michael Keaton is. And the people, we weren't even born when the first Batman movie came out. And you were a couple of months old when Batman Returns came out. So there is no, like you said, Val Kilmer for me, even though I was in the same boat, but growing up, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin, those were the live action Batmans that we met.
We had the George Clooney costume for Halloween.
Yeah. And then of course, when we were adolescents to teenagers,
Christian Bale.
It was Christian Bale. And so if there is no hell, and this might sound blasphemous and sad at the same breath, but I'm gonna say it, more fair weather superhero enthusiasts might know him more as the Vulture from the Spider-Man movies at this point,
which he did a great job, by the way.
But in the significance of it, like they may know him more as the Vulture / Birdman.
I was just gonna say Birdman
than Batman. And yes, Birdman is supposed to be derivative of his time as Batman, but most people might not even know that or understand that to really get a grasp on it. And I just feel like this is going to be an example of, with Across the Spider-Verse and Multiverse of Madness, this is the right way to do multiverse. And then The Flash is going to be the obligatory wrong, don't do it, please don't ever do it like this ever again way of handling it, because it's just so poorly conceived, and more importantly, conceived for all of the wrong reasons.
Definitely. Well, speaking of DC, Matt Reeves' The Batman comes out next week, right? I believe his name. I know you don't care, but it comes out.
All I know is that Quentin's going to buy his 18th Batman pizza.
I didn't have the Batman pizza, but yes, I'm going to go see the movie. I think it's going to be amazing. But the Matt Reeves Batman was just shaping up to be a new Batman installment. A lot of people, it's very, right now, it is actually very divisive. People don't know if they're into it or not. I'm one of the people that looks like to be into it, but I wanted to bring up a discussion because Batman is definitely a very complex character. He's been complex since you could even remember, because he does a lot of questionable things that will lead you to believe, is he a hero or a villain?
I'm gonna say this, and this is no shade to you, but I'm just gonna say it. This question inherently is ridiculous. Of fucking course Batman is a good guy.
I have a lot of people who beg to differ.
Yeah, because they don't know what they're talking about. I'm just gonna be very blunt and say that. Poorly written Batman stories lended that type of conversation to be had.
Mm-hmm.
Make no mistake about it. I know a lot of people, and I've made it, and I'm like, God, I forget how many years ago it was, and I'm blessed to say that it's been many years that I've been doing this and making content. But I made a video about the misconceptions of Batman and how the narrative that Batman does nothing for Gotham, he doesn't do this, he just beats people up, is summarily and regularly proven to be false, because he consistently does things and oversees things to help Gotham, but the underlying parts that people don't, or rather haven't been exposed to, is that there are always going to be something that will, sidetrack it and do things. Like Batman can't control if the Joker breaks out of Arkham or
yes,
whatever.
Yes, he can. If he kill the Joker.
But then again, like I said this before, if you're and this comes into where readers need to stop applying real world logic to a world that has its own logic and is asking you to accept it.
We not because we all we doing is what Jason Todd said.
That's stupid.
We're not telling you kill Mr. Freeze. That's the Penguin. We talking about this guy.
Okay.
The Joker.
And do you want to know why that's always been inherently a point of that's not right to say? Because it's disregarding Batman's very real mental health and saying that
exactly.
and
then he
saying,
don't need to be doing what he doing.
But it's this is the tragedy. This is where I need people to read up on the definition of tragedy in literature instead of trying to apply what real world scenario you think you could do. The tragedy is because Bruce made the decision on his parents' grave to make the city better in his own way, that opened the door to these type of things happening. And he's in too deep, y'all.
Why didn't he just use his money?
Because money don't solve everything. You know that. Everybody. Oh, let me go on a tangent real quick. Okay. Money can do two things. It can make you happy and it can get you things, but it can't solve everything.
This is true.
Because if it could, somebody would have made things better than they are now. You have a lot of people who've been good people who had a lot of money.
Yes.
And still look at Tulsa, the Black Wall Street.
Well, they
bombed it.
Yeah, they did.
But why did they bomb it?
Because they were getting too affluent.
Exactly. There's always going to be somebody who will I know people like to think that money can solve everything. No, it can make you happy and it can get you everything you want, but it cannot solve everything.
Yes.
Batman has all the money. He's created foundations or orphanages. He's put in money everywhere he can that can literally help people from a grassroots level. Unfortunately, when you have Ra's al Ghul and the League of Shadows, when you have motherfucking Brainiac doing on grand scale, when you have these other factors that Batman can't control, that can disrupt Gotham. No matter let's say Joker shows up, does some crazy ass shit. That don't guarantee that the stuff Batman put in place will dissolve. But if there's a bunch of things in Batman's control and out of Batman's control, realistically, that's going to disrupt something. And that's the tragedy of it, is that despite Batman, despite having no power, still having the wealth, the reach of a god, I should say, it doesn't really lend itself. And that's essentially how DC keeps you buying Batman comics, because they keep finding creative ways to go, yeah, Batman actually is doing this stuff, but something keeps happening to make it so it doesn't.
Okay, another critique. Obviously one of the big ones, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna have some way to combat this, but I would like to hear it. The Robins. Why shouldn't Batman, let's take Dick Grayson, the first Robin. Why not train Dick all the way up till he's 21, then allow him to fight with him? Why does he train them for what? To make it 1 to 2 years as a Robin, then puts them in the situation where they're young children helping him fight?
Because I'm gonna blow your mind when I say this, because this is a comic book. there are some things, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm gonna need y'all to stop complaining about, because it would literally break the thing you would be reading and therefore not make it interesting to read.
But the question isn't if this is interesting or not. Does this make this character a good character or a bad character?
What it does is it goes, oh, everything about in this character's universe no longer works, then it's uninteresting.
Is that why you don't like Titans and their portrayal of Batman?
No, I don't like Titans and their portrayal of Batman because it's just factual. It's just everything about it just doesn't make sense. But that's a different conversation inherently. My point in saying that, though, is that for those who don't know, the real life creation of Robin was because they thought Batman was too scary and they needed to reach kids. So they
say it again. They thought what?
They thought Batman was too scary. His stories were too serious. So they said if you gave him a character that is meant to be a a stand-in for the child readers reading it,
yes,
that'll make people more into it. Oh, and shame on everyone who called that, who were saying Batman and Robin was a pedophilic relationship.
Who said that?
You know, the people who said Batman and Robin's relationship, implying that they were gay for each other. That's very, y'all definitely need to address that, because that has tinges of pedophilia and y'all need to personally address that. But off of that tangent, is basically like, okay, he has a young ward, and in 1932, like
Yeah.
it's easier for folks to digest it because there was no real super duper outrageous thing that could
Yes, I agree with it in that era, because a lot of things, even if you even look at the 1960s Adam West Batman, a lot of things were a little more campy.
Right. So there was
I give you that.
There was nothing so outrageous
but Tim Drake, all that, Jason Todd, those were dark stories. They had a lot of dark stories.
But and that's what I go back to. It's a comic. Once it's ingrained in your mindset as being the normal, it's easier to accept. And it's like when you start critiquing it, it's like, okay, well, it's like, oh, well, why do you read it? Because there's no point. It's already there. They've already covered base B, C, and D by saying that this is why. So if you're just continually questioning it, then that's like, then why are you reading it? Because you're more or less ruining the fun. And also, not to put it all solely on the fans, DC regularly stops Robins from fully like maturing and keeps them as Robins.
Except my guy.
Like, and I'm gonna be very honest with you. Like, Jason Todd's death has been was BS. He shouldn't have died. He shouldn't.
The folks voted. They voted.
They actually didn't DC actually realized that somebody was fraudulently voting for it. So it's not even the case of him vote like that. Like if they really wanted to say the vote was bogus, they did that. But I think Jason Todd dying created the stigma.
Do you know what I found out that was like mind blowing?
What?
That Red X inadvertently created the Red Hood character.
That's not confirmed.
Yes, it is. I looked it up.
No,
I did like 3 researches on that.
No, dude, who was it? Was it Loeb that wrote?
Jeff Loeb.
No, I don't think it was Loeb. I think it was Straczynski. He said that Titans had nothing to do with him making Red Hood.
He's lying.
Because here's how Red Hood Red Hood, Jason Todd was supposed to come back in Batman Hush, which came out well before Teen Titans the show came out. But they didn't, but they were like, no, we're not going to do it there because we didn't build up to it. So we're going to say it's Batman's childhood friend. I don't
believe them. I think they lying.
What you mean they said? They actually said that.
I think they lying, bro.
Folks,
it was too many connections to all that setup.
Nah, it's not, because guess what? Titans still hasn't committed to that being Jason Todd. So how is it true?
Not that Titans, Teen Titans. Oh, you talking about facts?
Like they still haven't,
because they're keeping it close to the vest.
Quentin, that has been a thing going on for 15 years.
I know, right? That's crazy.
If you're not gonna call,
it's one of them things where, and because every writer is different and every creator is different. Some people like to hold that carrot in your face forever, and some people don't.
The bad ones.
But that's not. I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm saying some writers do that. They'll hold that until their deathbed, and then they be like, "Yeah, it was Jason Todd all along."
Yeah, and I would not believe them. What's your next? Because I know you got another one.
We brought up him not killing the Joker, right?
Yeah, but like I said,
okay. Also, using people would say that because of Batman's mental instability, he uses "I'm protecting Gotham" as a way to beat up and see these criminals as a way to beat them up and release his own pent up aggression, which is not right. He should not do that.
That's one. That shouldn't be taken at face value.
Like, he beats the brakes off some of these guys.
That shouldn't be taken at face. Like, legitimately, there's some, and this is just a general thing. Those type of statements should never be taken at face value and should be viewed as an opinion rather than a fact. Like, you can agree with it, but you should not look at it like, that's.
Do you think he has the right to do that though?
He's a guy, Quentin. Okay.
Well, if we're talking about superhero good guy,
he's a vigilante. Okay. Superheroes for us, because that's easier for us to digest their what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
It's called superheroes. Nobody's gonna buy a book called those vigilante genre. No one is going.
Shout out to Vigilante Peacemaker, man.
No. Nobody. I was going to say something. My point is that nobody's going to buy a vigilante book, a vigilante movie. That's not sexy. So superheroes, but Batman's a vigilante. Legally, what he is doing is wrong. Gotham should be arrested. Though GCPD should be arresting Batman, just like how the Metropolis PD should be arresting Superman, just like how the NYPD should be arresting Spider-Man, et cetera,
yes.
because they are taking the law into their own hands. So objectively, from the lenses of if he should do that, no.
But not even, not to cut you off, but not even what he's doing, the lens that he goes to immobilize his
again,
criminals
again
would be seen as somewhat excessive, don't you think?
Again, but that's like fair play. He's a cow, not fair.
Like, couldn't he just use a smoke bomb that makes them all pass out and then arrest them?
I mean, but you got to look at it again from the context. In the context of a regular Batman story, they're not just some regular ass crooks doing regular ass.
Tell that to the Falcone gang.
Especially them, because the Falcone and the Maronis are meant to be like the most extreme versions of a traditional mafia.
Yeah.
So, I know it's for the sake of a contrarian conversation that's been said,
but because obviously, like you said before, it's a comic book. It has to be enticing, has to be extreme.
Right.
Yeah.
So these thugs that he's beating up, they're not just your like, damn, bro, I need to get this 5. So let me go ahead and lift these boxes real quick. No, they're like career ass Joker and Doctor or Penguin and Doctor and criminals who ain't just finna go down because Batman threw a gas. They're gonna be like, let me go punch it up, let me go beat up the bat, and then you get what you deserve because you ain't just laying down there.
Yeah, Vision, that's what I was saying. I was just saying, like, can't he just throw down a smoke bomb that makes them cough and then pass out?
Like, but wait a minute, poison is
not
like,
not poison.
Nah, like.
Oh, you are talking about poison.
No,
don't poison. I was talking about like a smoke bomb that like with chloroform or something to make them pass out.
I think it's dependent on the artist, because sometimes the artist can be like, I'm going to make this stylistically appealing and have Batman like punch up or ram a guy's face into the wall. But I think like you're meant to, like, from a general perspective, understand that Batman is like not trying to like turbo cripple these guys, but he's like,
I can't tell.
I mean, obviously, but like, look at
even in the Arkham series games, he's.
But what that come down to, artistic interpretation. Yes. They want you when you're in this combat. They want it to be enticing, to make you feel like the coolest version of Batman, not necessarily the most heroic.
Yes. Well, we've had instances where other characters that have taken up different mantles or the same mantle. Look at Dick Grayson. He's head and shoulders, has been stated multiple times, as when even in Bloodhaven has been a better hero than Batman. Even though he's taken up the mantle as Batman, has been stated to be a better Batman than Batman, as well as just not even in the story where Joker was not Joker-fied anymore.
They're calling you out because they're saying that you talking about
not pass out, like,
because you also gotta remember this: if you talking about throwing some knockout gas, they can be knocked out and then hit their head on something. And then
this is 100% true. And Batman could punch somebody and they have a seizure and die as well.
But Batman has more control over how hard he hits somebody.
Talking about when he cracks them over the head with their own bat that they tried to hit him with.
That's again. Okay, let's listen.
Or what if he throws a batarang and he cuts their vein and
that trust him. Like, if we're talking about that, Batman knows how not to do that because that's his character. He knows.
And are we going to talk about how Batman had no problem killing genetically engineered bat people, but he had a problem killing humans? He has a problem killing humans.
What genetically bat people you're talking about?
What there was the movie where Batman was in there.
Man bat?
Yeah, and he had other man bat people that he was converting to men bat, and Batman was killing them.
You're gonna have to show me that.
Batman was killing the mess out of them folks.
I don't know what the hell.
But he has no qualms.
That does not sound official.
He has no qualms with killing regular people.
You're gonna have to show me.
I mean, he has all the qualms in the world killing regular people.
That is a whole.
But as I was saying, to go back to my point, and they've shown when Joker was unjokerfied and became the White Knight in the White Knight novels. In the White Knight, he did not have to beat anybody up. He did, but he did it in a diplomatic way and was helping Gotham, and it was said to do a better job than Bruce Wayne or Batman ever did.
But that's but see,
without beating up people.
But see, here's the thing about that, and this is where, but all jokes aside, like, and this is something that I need again. A lot of these stories that's not canon.
Yes,
you can't really add that to Batman's mythos or personality or say what he would or wouldn't do, or what would or wouldn't work if he wasn't traditionally doing what they're doing. Why? Because it's meant to be a story that tells. Yeah, that I mean,
yeah, that's what we've been saying. Yeah, facts.
But like with those type of stories, like the White Knight, or anything like that, Dark Knight Returns, things like that. Those are meant to ask questions that are outside of Batman's normal situation, right? So it's going to ask questions
that we already kind of felt, though.
No, I'm not going to say that, but answer questions rather. It's going to answer questions in a way that might not be relevant or even right in the traditional Batman context, right? Because most people like White Knight, going back to that, that's a very interesting story to be told.
Definitely.
But that doesn't mean that that's going to be the be all end all for like if somebody told a similar story, that doesn't mean they're going to go in that.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%.
So I just feel like that type of rationale, I'm not saying it's your rationale, but in general, that's not a catch all for what happened to Batman.
I just feel a lot of times in a lot of Batman stories, especially like you stated before, they deal with the mental side of Batman, and I understand, and I feel like he has a lot of mental instability that could cause him to not be as good as a hero or as good as a person as he believes himself to be.
Here's where I disagree. Why I disagree with that being used is because no one has used it, in my opinion, in a manner that ultimately led for a sympathetic way for Bruce. They normally just toss that out there when they're mad at Bruce, and then there's nothing to come of it. You know what I'm saying? I will say that there's been like a couple of issues where it's like, oh, Bruce doesn't, abide to, and there's pretty good stories. Bruce doesn't abide to his natural senses of being the Night Predator because it might be some foo-foo stuff happening behind the scenes traditionally, like, oh, this guy's being racially profiled or framed or stuff like that. So that's why I feel like them saying that is kind of cap just to say throw a jab at Bruce that's unfounded. But I feel like the moment we get a story where it's like, oh, Bruce, you're chilling. I mean, there's been like a book or two, mainly non-canon, where it's like, oh, Bruce is in therapy and he's like learning some things and whatnot, but it's kind of one-off and doesn't really affect the major storyline or anything. But I feel like I feel like a Batman writer needs to positively look into healing Bruce's mental issues in a way that is not being like, oh, you're only doing this because you're unstable and angry. Like, nah, some of these niggas in Gotham need their ass whooped to the degree.
No, definitely, I agree.
To the degree Batman, here's my opinion. Here's in Gotham specifically. If you are willingly doing crime in a city where you can see just how stupidly, dumbly, absurdly evil and destructive the crime can be, and you're choosing to take part in it, Batman, you need that Batman booting your ass at least once.
Next week, I'm gonna have this meme video off of TikTok. It was two females cosplaying as Poison Ivy.
Yeah, and they like, and then
man, we could do anything in Gotham. Did Batman just pop out?
That shit's hilarious.
I'm gonna have that next week. That show had me dying for like hours.
So empty, and we could just take anything.
Then Batman just stepped I went straight to the comments. You already knew everybody was talking about, oh, Batman finna get on their ass. They didn't even know what hit him.
They've known Ivy and Harley, they probably got on down on his ass. He probably
it was just so well timed.
But that was still well timed. Like Batman just like
Gotham is so great, we can do whatever we want. But yeah, man, this is a great episode. Thanks. I'm glad we are back. We will be back. I appreciate everybody that tuned in, man. QMG, is there anything y'all got going on? Once again, shout out to Raya and her crew and we were on that podcast. It was great. It was awesome. Pokemon Day. Hopefully they will have us back. It was amazing. It was awesome. Shout out to them.
Facts.
And shout out to the More Diversity crew. Let them know, QMG, what y'all got going on.
Man, it's March coming up. We're going to be March Madness, and we're going to be doing tier list brackets about a lot of things. We're going to be special. This week is going to be a special Friday edition. It's not going to be on Wednesday. It's going to be on Friday. Same time, same place. So, if you already know, Fridays is when things pop off for real. So expect that to be happening all in March, as well as some other dope things we got on the horizon for y'all. So yeah.
And also, you already know tomorrow, every Monday, 7:40, me and my crew, D-Man and Danita, keep it G, where we keep our eyes and ears to the streets for everything geek. We'll be having our 1-year anniversary episode. So tune in for that. We got a lot of stuff going on. We still gonna be doing our Battle of the Tunes. We will also be talking about some Pokemon, and we'll be talking about some of the things we did for this whole year going into our 1-year anniversary of Keep It G. And with that being said, thank y'all for tuning in. Everybody that tuned on in. This was Keep It G. Oh no, sorry. Into the Universe. I'm thinking of Keep It G already. My fault, bro. I knew you was gonna I knew you was gonna say that. Thank y'all for tuning in. This is a great episode. I'm Q.
And I am QMG.
And this is Into the Universe, where we talk to y'all guys about everything geeky, gangy, and nerdy.
Hey, I was gonna say y'all Keep It G catchphrase.
Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah.